Welcome. You're listening to The Aligned Self, Conversations in Creating a Conscious and Abundant Life. This is Daniel Denovi. I'll be your guide and host. Let's see just where we can take this. Hello, friend, and welcome back to the conversation. About 4 weeks ago, my wife came to me and said that someone in the Facebook group, the neighborhood Facebook group, had said that they found 3 kittens on their mother's front porch. Mother had died and they were moving things out and found these kittens on the front porch. The woman that had found them could not take care of them. Kimberly quickly volunteered and said, I have the bottles, I have the formula, I have everything I need. And in an instant in my head, I said to myself, there's so many feral cats and feral dogs. Why do you want to go out of your way to ones that obviously have been abandoned by their mother? I mean, how can you ever hope to make a difference? And it was in that thought that I realized, of course, my wife is like me. She is a star thrower. So without any more hesitation, I simply said to her, if you think you can make a difference, go ahead. You have my blessing. Well, I don't know if you know anything about newborn kittens. These cats we figured were only about 3 days old, but they need to eat every 2 hours. So not only during the day, but throughout the night. So my wife would lay down, fall asleep for a while, hear her alarm, and get up and feed the cats. Of course, I slept through most of that, but every now and then I was aware of her getting up. And in my head, I was saying, oh, I could never do that. But my wife proceeded without complaint. Well, over the next week, one by one, the kittens stopped eating and they passed away. So near the end, it was an exercise in futility every time she got up to feed the kittens. It was difficult for her to go through that, and it was difficult for me as a bystander. I know it was difficult for her. Well, it wasn't even a day after the last one had passed that she was contacted by the local cat rescue that she'd been working with, and they said that they had a pregnant mama ready to give birth and they needed someone to foster her. And I know in the back of her mind she thought she could vindicate herself and she could nurse these new kittens, because mama's going to be right there. She could provide a home for them and they could see their way into the world. They figured that the mom wouldn't give birth for probably 10 days. And we thought it would happen a lot sooner than that. And it did. It happened about 4 days after the mama cat arrived at our home. Kimberly set up an amazing little home for them. They were quarantined away from the rest of the animals. They had their own space. It was quiet. Well, long story short, mom ended up dying. And Kimberly again was attempting to nurse the babies. And one by one, the 5 babies that she had ended up also dying. It was obvious that they had a pre-existing condition. And after 2 weeks of this, it seemed like just 2 weeks, but, remember, my wife was getting up every 2 hours feeding these kittens. She was exhausted. And she was at her, the end of her rope. And she asked herself, kind of talking out loud, why did I think I could make a difference? And I said, well, you're a star thrower. I asked her, have you ever heard the story of the star thrower? And she replied, no, I haven't. I said, well, let me tell you it's not very long. I think after you hear it, you'll feel differently about your involvement with all of this. I happen to be a star thrower as well. The story takes place on a beach. There's a man standing on an outcropping, bending over and flinging things into the surf. As he bends over to pick up another one, he notices out of the corner of his eye a young woman walking along the beach. She's stopped and she's watching him. I turn my head and I smile at her, and she takes that for a welcome, and she walks up to me, obviously curious about what I'm doing. As she's walking towards me, I resume my activity. I bend over and I pick up another starfish out of my bucket. With the flick of my wrist, I toss it out into the surf. And I bend over and pick up another starfish and do the same thing with that guy. She reaches me and asks, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm a star thrower." She said, "A star thrower? What's a star thrower?" Well, each day the tide rolls out and leaves all these animals left stranded on the beach. I collect them in my bucket, come out here to this outcropping, and one by one I give them a little fling, like a little frisbee, out into the surf. I get it just beyond the breaker. Then I know they have a chance. And with that, I bent over and picked up another one and gave it a fling. She looked at me incredulously, and she looked up and down the beach. She said, "There's thousands of them. How can you ever hope to make a difference?" I smiled and bent over and picked up another starfish. With the flick of my wrist, I gave it a toss, and it gently hit the water and drifted down to the bottom. I turned to her and said, "Well, it made a difference for that one." Bent over and picked up another one, and with a gentle tossed that one into the ocean, and it made a difference for that one. And with that, the young woman got it, and she asked, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Absolutely." She stepped up to my bucket, and I said, "Let me show you a couple times how to do it, and then I'll let you do it on your own, and then I'll go pick up some more starfish." The moral of this story is make a difference where you can. Obviously, you can't help everyone. As a coach, I have a goal to touch the lives of 10 million people. Will I ever do it? No. Chances are I won't. But I can assist who I can. In my coaching practice with my clients and my students of my online courses, and through this podcast, I touch lives. People take some of the things that I say and they put them to work in their lives. And through their own progress, they assist the people in their life. And so if I can make a difference with one person, I can easily touch the lives of another 200. If you look around the marketplace out in the world, a lot of people would say there's a lot going wrong with the world. There's a lot, to be done. Are you the one to do it? No, they would say, no, I'm not. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to, handle this. I don't have the bandwidth. What difference am I going to make? Well, make a difference where you are. Make a difference with the people that you have immediate contact with. Maybe you can't solve the whole thing, but I know for a fact you can make a difference. If only for yourself, if only for your own life, your own small circle of friends, your circle of influence, your family, your friends, the people you work with, each and every person that comes in contact with you. When you see the world through a new level of understanding, they are intrinsically changed just through knowing you, just by having you be an example for them in their life. You see, you can make a difference. You, too, can be a star thrower. Until next time, this is your friend and host, Daniel Danovi, urging you to follow your bliss. Live your life from inner signals. Be inner directed as you engage in the epic adventure.